Cloudcast Media. Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, and thrilled to have in the studio a longtime friend and colleague, Scott Sibley, is the co-founder and CEO of SHAmory. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
SHAmory.
SHAmory. Thank you very much. How you doing there, Scott?
Doing great. Thanks for having me in once again.
Absolutely. So I got the chance to meet Scott in 2014 when his dad and I served on a board at the University of San Diego School of Leadership and Ed Sciences. And they had a education business all over in Edgate up in Gig Harbor and so forth. They were just launching this real cool program we were talking about earlier, Kristen, Journeys Map, and where you can find out wherever you need to be and wherever you need to go and so forth. And Scott was involved in that and then said, I want to start my own stuff. So I'll turn it over to you for questions.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about SHAmory.
Yes.
Awesome, yeah.
So SHAmory was started from my brain around 2018.
Okay.
Kind of started thinking about it, but 2019 was when we officially started creating our first product and kind of to set the stage. So SHAmory creates Bitcoin products for kids and families. So kind of financial education, being able to do that through books, games, other products. We have fun Bitcoin monster characters to kind of make it even funner for the kids. So our mission is to create Bitcoin and financial education fun and exciting for that next generation. You know, obviously it's a topic that some could think is very confusing, but really if you boil it down, it's something that can be very simple. And in many ways, the kids are the easiest to teach.
Yeah. And where did your interest in, do you have a financial background? Why Bitcoin? Why for kids? All of that?
Yeah. So I think it's a mixture of a lot of my background. I graduated with a degree in accounting. So I think that's kind of where some of the number side comes from.
Yes.
It does. Did that for 3 or so years. And then like Drew mentioned, went to work with my dad's company for, at the end of the day, it was about 15 years in the ed tech space. On my mom's side of the family, I come from a lot of educators. And so it's a mixture of kind of the numbers and education, along with the fact that at that same time, in that time period, my wife and I were having our first kids. So being able to kind of be interested in Bitcoin and then recognize, financial literacy really is something that's undertaught in schools in general. And then seeing kind of this, where the future is going to go, being able to say, let's start creating things ourselves and see where that can happen and play a role in that.
Cool. So we're bringing on my associate producer Brandon Joe, because he's a genius, and he's going to tell us all he knows about Bitcoin. Brandon is a senior at UCSD. He is going to be already as a producer of the Spotlight Show and a variety of other Cloudcast Media products. Has his own business as well. How much do you know about Bitcoin, Brandon?
Pretty familiar with it, especially as a computer science student, tech space, of a bunch of friends in the business area. I know friends that have gotten into it back when it was small, like in 2000, 2018. I'm terrible at dates. Don't quote me on that. But he started investing there, and for a time, it's been just a quick way to invest, make money, get out, etc. But it's starting to really take a hold nowadays. What do you think that is?
I think it's a few different things. I think the one area that I guess I would push back on is it's not a quick way to make money. It's actually a slow way to make money. People see the ups and downs of the price, but if you look at it over the long term, it's actually a very slow moving process where the longer you hold, the better you're going to be. It's kind of that low time preference mentality. I think the reason to your question that is taking more hold now is, a lot of different reasons. One, people are more familiar with the concepts of inflation, hard money, that side of things, mixed with the fact that the future is probably going to be digital in many ways. We already see that in schools and all different ways. So why wouldn't money continue to evolve that? And so kind of a mixture of just the right time, the right place. Bitcoin itself, it's only been 15 years. So it's very much still in its infancy. So people say, it's fluctuating all the time. It's like, well, it's 15 years. It's very small. The
Definitely.
timescale.
And that's why my friend kind of took it as a quick way to make money initially. But now that it's stabilizing, this is becoming a long-term investment nowadays, which is fascinating. So to educate kids on the potential of it going forward, I would have to imagine if you're putting in money now, how much that would be if you go forward, just, cost dollar average from here. How do you educate? So this is I always use an example when I'm trying to teach kids. I've taught them like soft skills, etc.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to teach a kid who doesn't have a strong, or at least maybe it's not quite relevant to them, let's say like money or, how to do your taxes. If you tell a kid how to do their taxes, go, pew, when's the next toy I'm going to get? So how do you teach a kid finance?
So I think it really depends on the age of the kids, obviously, first of all. So our products are really more focused on kind of that younger kids. So from infancy up through, say, elementary type school. Our game is good through all ages, but really we're focused on that younger subset. One benefit is they, like you said, they don't understand money fully yet. So they don't have to rewire their brain. Whereas, that older generation, even our generations, we're used to things. So we have to relearn things. But with, our older daughter is 6. She's grown up with it in around her house. The best way we've taught her, we take her to conferences. She sells for us at the table. She completes transactions.
That's awesome.
She creates her own products. She has her own Bitcoin wallet. People scan the QR code. It goes there. She knows exactly what's happening. That's the easiest way. Now, not everybody can do that. Not everybody has a company.
Not every kid can be selling their at the different tables and conferences.
Exactly. But you can't sell lemonade. You can't sell hot dogs. So like, you can't get if you get allowance, maybe you get allowance in it, you start paying them in that way. And, paying in Bitcoin is as easy as scanning a QR code.
Mm-hmm.
They know what QR codes are. They do that all the time. Or maybe they're at a restaurant, they're looking at the menu. So they point, scan, click, there it goes, something happens and they understand it. So kids are actually easier than you think.
That's fascinating. And you say games, that activates a part of my brain because ever since I was a kid, I played flash games, all that stuff. What do you mean by games?
Yeah, so our first product, so the namesake of the company, SHAmory, comes from our game. So it's a card game. So all of our products are physical. So in a digital world, we've brought it back to the physical side.
I like that.
So the name of the company and the game comes from a mixture of two things. So SHA-256, which you might be familiar with, is the cryptographic algorithm that's used in Bitcoin mining. And so SHA. And then,
you know that, right, Kristen?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, good.
Intimately, of course.
Exactly. There'll be a test later.
Yeah, thanks.
And then Mori comes from the game memory. So the game memory where you're flipping over cards, trying to remember things and make matches. So the name is just a mixture of those two things together. And so the game is teaching how in mining, there's two concepts, a nonce and a target. They need to sync up. This is getting very simple. If that happens, the next block is mined. So in our game, you're actually creating blocks and you're earning rewards. So it's teaching the concept of Bitcoin mining through characters. So like I said, we have Bitcoin monster characters. So these fun little characters along the way that you're collecting go along with helping to kind of teach things. And really, it's something that you just start with the basics and go from there.
So when you do that, we're talking to Scott Sibley. He is the co-founder and CEO of SHAmory. I'm Drew Schlosberg with Cloudcast Media and listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the community show. We're the nation's longest running community podcast, now in our 19th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. 6 decades of doing great things in San Diego County, food insecurity, homelessness, the arts, financial literacy, and so forth. Joined by my co-host, Kristen Fogel. She is the executive director of San Diego Writers, Inc., and Brandon Joe, associate producer of the Spotlight show on this. So, with Bitcoin, okay, is this a product that goes right to the individual kid? Does it go to the schools that they use it in the classroom, or both?
So in theory, it could go to both. From our side, most of our sales are directly to the consumer. So whether it's through our website or through at conferences, and they're for the age group, we're going through the parents,
right?
And so the parents are coming there and getting it. But the nice thing is, whether it's our game or we have 3 books, all of them are STEM authenticated. So for those that don't know, that's science, technology, engineering, and math.
Right.
So they have that certification attached to them, whereas potentially schools, after-school programs, STEM centers become interested in teaching this concept. We have that seal of approval, if you will, to say, hey, you can tie this back to actual curriculum and bring it into the classroom, bring it into the after-school center. So if there's people out there listening that are interested in doing just that, happy to chat.
Right. So, Kristen, you've got a 6-year-old, soon to be 7, 6 and 11 and 12 months, if you told me that right earlier over here, right? So Can Declan handle this?
I have no idea.
Can you handle it?
I mean, he loves, they love memory games. They love things like that. So yes, I revised my answer. Yes, I think he could handle it.
I think he can handle it.
I don't know if his mom can handle it. So I think that's
but I
my
guarantee
deeper thing.
his dad can, working at the Fleet Center, right?
I don't know if he knows much about Bitcoin, but, definitely mathematical concepts for sure.
Yeah, but I think the whole point of SHAmory is you don't have to know much about
Indeed.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Come in blank.
Yeah, you come in blank on this thing here. What? So, do you focus on the primary grades for the students, or it can be all over the board?
Yeah. So, two of our books are really focused on kind of that infant toddler range, and then we have a book that's good for kind of 5 to 12-year-olds, and then the game itself is good to start playing around 4 or 5, and all the way through adults. So you can play with it, with your friends. We actually have drinking game instructions on the website.
Nice.
So if you really want to spice it up, we have that out there. But yeah, that kind
I
of
like that.
That's hilarious.
Elementary middle is the target for the ages.
Right. So have you gotten feedback from teachers at all?
Not too many teachers. We have, so around the country, there's a lot of kind of small Bitcoin hubs, call them, or communities. And a lot of them have started doing stuff in schools or with kids in after school programs. So there's a gentleman, for example, who has actually created his own, let's call it a homeschool kind of type center for gifted kids in Florida. And over the summer, they did different summer camps around robotics and whatnot. And one of the weeks that he had was focused on Bitcoin. And so they utilized our products there to teach the kids. There's another gentleman out of Virginia who actually does STEM-focused after-school programs in the area and has a whole Bitcoin wing to it. So those sorts of people they're already in the Bitcoin space, but they also have tentacles in the school space, have started kind of dabbling their toes and utilizing things like this.
So if we brought your daughter on the next time you're here, could she explain Bitcoin?
Yes.
And would she be willing to do it? And would your wife let you do that?
Oh yeah, she's been on podcasts all the time.
Okay, good. So, and we're going to talk about your new podcast. So the next time we tee you up, we want to see your 6-year-old daughter on, and give her the mic and have her just explain to other folks how this works. Correct?
Yep. There you go.
Consider that a done deal. We'll come back from break. Scott, let's talk a little bit more about where the next steps are with SHAmory. I want to talk about the podcast. Where you're doing it and so forth. And is there any connection, maybe there isn't, with what you're doing and what Journey's Map is with your father? So your turn with Scott Sibley. He is the co-founder and CEO of SHAmory. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. It's another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. We will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. We are back with Scott Sibley, co-founder and CEO of SHAmory, chatting about Bitcoin and learning and math and everything in between, joined by my co-hosts, Kristen Fogel, Executive Director of San Diego Writers Inc., and Brandon Joe, Associate Producer of The Spotlight Show and many Cloudcast Media offerings. So talk about this podcast. Who inspired you to do a podcast?
I guess I'll say, I'll kind of boost your ego up.
I guarantee it can't be me.
I don't even know where the actual inspiration came from, other than, for SHAmory in the Bitcoin community, we're known for kind of that family-friendly product.
Right.
And so I had the idea in the back of my head for a little bit and finally said, let's just do it and see what happens. And so the idea really was, let's bring families together to have conversations really about nothing to do with Bitcoin. So it's about, education, maybe healthy eating, tips for traveling with kids. It's that sort of show. But it's tapping into the Bitcoin community because there's so many. When we go to these conferences, we go once or twice a year to them. And, there's families that come over. We've known them for 5 years now. And so people are, it's a very strong knit community, and being able to share and learn from each other is something that people enjoy doing. And so want to give that platform for other families to do just that.
Is it growing?
It is. So it's been, I think, about 3 months or so. And so, we're on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, all the places you can find it. So search for the Bitcoin for Family show.
Where do you do it?
Do it from my house. So we got it set up in the office there. Release the show every Monday morning, and so once a week you can find it out there. And then come follow along. And if you're interested, just reach out. I'll be on the show.
Absolutely. And has your dad been on the show?
He has not been on the show.
Okay. How about your mom?
No family members on the show yet. So,
but it's Bitcoin for families.
It is,
but not your family.
Not my family yet. One day for sure.
No, I think that's great, Kristen.
Yeah. Are there other, let's talk about the books. Have we talked about the books much? Let's go there.
Yeah, so we have 3 different books. So our first was Goodnight Bitcoin. So you might be familiar with Goodnight Moon,
Very nice.
Goodnight Gorilla, Goodnight Baseball.
Yeah.
And so we created that as a kind of that fun way. Our first daughter at the time she was an infant. And so we were reading Goodnight Moon, all those books enough. So they said, hey, I can create this myself. And then the second book is If You Give a Monster a Bitcoin. So
nice.
If You Give a Mouse a Cookie.
Yep.
And then those 2 books were written by ourselves. And then about a year and a half ago, our third book actually wasn't written by ourselves, by another gentleman in the Bitcoin space who's well known, who had written a children's book 5 or 6 years ago. It's called Satoshi Nakamoto, who is the creator of Bitcoin and his Bitcoin invention. And so that book is more ages 5 to 12. He had written it, never got around to being able to publish it and that sort of stuff. So he approached us and said, hey, this is what you guys do. You're known in the Bitcoin space. Let's work together to make it happen. So we released that book a little over a year ago. And being able to, like I said, it's our characters that wrap and bring everything to life. And so it was perfect in the sense that those 2 younger books we had already in stone. And then this one kind of gave that next age bracket from kind of the 5 to 12, something to read as well. And so we can grow from there.
Cool. And are there other spaces that you want to reach? More books, different games? Like what is kind of percolating?
I'm not sure what the next actual physical product will be. Focused on the podcast right now. And every year, kind of our big conference is in April, May time period. And so kind of like timing something new around that. So I've got a few months to try to figure something out. So not exactly sure, but I'm sure there'll be something. So
when do you think this thing will be infused in the curriculum? Or that's going to take a while?
As well,
yes.
schools are sometimes the slower ones to move.
I do know.
And so it'll probably take some time. It'll probably be the one-offs that are, whether it's actual schools or those, like we were talking about, after-school centers, STEM centers.
After-school programs.
That are forward-thinking. Maybe the junior achievements. I know the JA, I believe, in Orange County, used to have a Bitcoin-focused thing. I don't know if they still do. So there'll probably be those forward thinkers that are out there that start doing it. And then, at some point in time, they won't be able to get around it, but that's probably a little bit away.
Right. Well, I think it's just educating, the adults, I'm still trying to get my hands around how this, currency works and that aspect of it. But you're right. It's almost like AI, where you can try to ignore it, but too late. That thing has been let out of the bag, and that's going full speed ahead. Is there any connection with AI and Bitcoin?
There actually is. And so there's a lot of different connections.
Right.
The one that is probably the most prevalent is, so for Bitcoin mining to happen, it happens in large data centers. And that's the same thing that happens with AI. And so there's kind of a fusion between the data centers and their use of Bitcoin miners, as well as AI, and what needs to be done there. So there's a lot of Bitcoin mining companies that are kind of crossing over and doing both, or vice versa, processing centers that are getting into mining. And so there's going to be a merging there that'll probably keep becoming robust.
Right. And it's interesting. We've talked about this before. So, me being I think if I added up your age, Scott, Brandon's age, and Kristen, you wouldn't get to my age. Okay. But the point is, these, kids like Declan, and of course your kids, and of course Brandon, you guys grew up with this stuff, and, certainly digital stuff and all that business, and it's a no-brainer. Guys like me did not. My daughter obviously did, Sammy and so forth. And now with your, 6-year-old and then Declan, soon to be 7, this is just natural for them, correct?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they'll be growing up with it just like we grew up with certain things. It'll become part of their DNA.
Right. But I think the key is how do we get the parents, to buy into this, to understand it, to make sure that it's not a threat. And it's not a threat at all, but it's more out of, we got to educate them. Has that been a challenge?
Yeah, it definitely is a challenge, and it's harder. You got to rewire their brains. We have heard many stories about, obviously when the kids are younger, they can't read the books themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times maybe the immediate parents are the Bitcoiners that bought it, but maybe grandma and grandpa are over and the kid asked them to read it. And so that starts kind of teaching them in a low stakes way and generating questions. So things like that. We've heard of, families coming together and playing our game where not everybody, is a Bitcoiner, but they start kind of understanding the concepts and just, it's that comfort. Being able to just know it's not something to be feared, like you said. Right,
exactly. So, I mean, your dad, of course, heavily involved in this world and all that business, very, very smart, as is your mom on this. But does your mom get involved in this? Does she understand the Bitcoin stuff?
Enough to be supportive.
Okay, good. Yeah. No, I mean, listen, it's here, it's with it, and Kristen, I've known Scott for quite a while, as you know, and I remember when he made the shift over to, the SHAmory. And so I've been following you since you started it and so forth, and always very excited to see the growth in this aspect of it. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Oh, that. There's an easy one.
Oh, yeah. Just coming with the easy question. Who knows? I mean, I think ideally, we've been able to grow things in a sense that there's enough out there that we're able to offer some sort of tool to learn to a wide range of kids,
right.
From, say 0 to 18, and being able to support that not only at home, but hopefully in that time, maybe some of that more traditional education has started to come into play as well. But who knows?
Yeah. What can we do to support your work?
Like you mentioned, we have the new show. So anybody out there can go, follow, like, subscribe, that whole spiel, the Bitcoin for Family show. Like I said, it's on YouTube, it's on Spotify, Apple. You can find it out there. And then, if you're interested in our products, SHAmory.com. So SHAMORY. And you're welcome to come. And, you can feel free to reach out on any social media platform. We are at Play SHAmory.
Yeah, I know what you did at Journey's Map. Of course, let people do a test run and all that business. Do you do the same thing with SHAmory? Is there test runs, so to speak?
So it's a little harder because it's all physical stuff. But obviously, being able to have those examples, they can have it out there. And if you are a school or an after-school program and you want some samples to be able to test having in your environment, feel free to reach out. That
sounds good. Scott, always good to see you. Congratulations on your success. It's just going to grow more. Hi to your wonderful family for me. That's a good. And then I'm going to send you some dates to get your daughter on in December. Are you in town in December?
As of right now.
Okay, as of right now. We're going to get you on with your daughter. Kristen, any final comments for Scott?
No, I look forward to the December episode. And yeah.
Maybe you should bring Declan in.
Declan would just never stop talking. That's a terrible idea. No.
We won't do that. We will not bring Declan on this. Scott Sibley, co-founder and CEO of SHAmory, congratulations on the great success. We'll look forward to having you make a return appearance.
Thanks to you both.
You bet. I'm Drew Schlosberg. You've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, nation's longest running community podcast in our 19th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, 6 decades of doing great things for people living in San Diego County. And my thanks to my co-hosts, Brandon Joe and Kristen Fogel, and to our audience. We hope you enjoyed the interview.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.